One takeoff changed everything. U.S. Air Force sends clear message. It started like any other morning at the U.S. Air Force Base. The sun was just peeking over the horizon, painting the runway in shades of orange and gold. Pilots were going through their routine pre-flight checks. Engineers were inspecting jets, making sure every bolt, every panel, and every control surface was perfect. To an outsider, it looked like just another ordinary day. But that one takeoff changed everything. At exactly 06:37, a sleek F-35 fighter jet roared down the runway. The afterburners ignited, leaving a streak of fire and smoke behind them as it lifted into the sky. From the control tower, the technicians could barely believe what they were seeing. It wasn't just the jet itself, it was the precision, the speed, and the maneuver it executed immediately after takeoff. Within seconds, the F-35 had climbed higher than usual, banking sharply to the left with an agility that stunned everyone watching. Radar operators noticed something immediately. This wasn't just a training maneuver. The jet's trajectory sent a clear message, not to any one country, but to the world. It was a demonstration of capability, of readiness, and of deterrence. Inside the cockpit, the pilot's calm voice cut through the radio chatter. All systems nominal. Executing mission profile Alpha 01. Back at the base, the commander didn't need to hear more. He knew what this meant. Every engineer, every mechanic, every soldier on the tarmac understood that this flight wasn't routine. It was a statement. The U.S. Air Force was ready, precise, and capable of responding to any threat instantly. News spread quickly. International military analysts picked up the flight pattern on radar and immediately began speculating. Social media exploded with videos taken from civilian observers nearby. Some were awestruck by the maneuverability, others wondered why the base had released a jet so publicly. Governments around the world paid attention because one thing was clear: the message was intentional. The F-35's takeoff was followed by a series of aerial exercises over the Atlantic. Pilots executed complex formations, demonstrating coordination and speed that had rarely been seen in public. Every loop, every dive, every sharp turn was recorded, logged, and broadcast to the military intelligence networks. Analysts later said it was a textbook example of how air power can serve as both protection and deterrence. But the message wasn't just about showing off power, it was about timing. Intelligence reports had recently indicated increased military activity in a specific region overseas. While the U.S. Air Force never confirmed targets, the positioning and sequence of this particular takeoff coincided with satellite observations of foreign troop movements. To anyone paying attention, it was clear the U.S. was signaling that it was watching and it was ready to act if necessary. By midday, military strategists across the globe were recalculating. They reviewed past exercises, current deployments, and the timing of this specific F-35 mission. Many admitted in private briefings that the takeoff had changed their assessment of U.S. air capabilities. Analysts called it unprecedented for its speed and clarity of message. Meanwhile, the base itself was buzzing with a quiet pride. Pilots returned to debriefing rooms, engineers gathered to discuss performance data, and the command staff reviewed telemetry from the jets. Every detail mattered. Every second of flight had been captured and analyzed. In military terms, this wasn't just a demonstration, it was an exercise in influence. The broader public didn't immediately understand the significance. For most civilians, it was a story of a fighter jet performing impressive maneuvers. But for those who study defense strategy, geopolitics, and air superiority, this takeoff was a milestone. It wasn't just the plane, the pilot, or the maneuver, it was the statement behind it. The U.S. Air Force had the readiness, the precision, and the confidence to respond to threats anywhere at any time. Experts later explained that this kind of mission takes months of planning, even if it looks spontaneous. From ensuring that every radar system was perfectly calibrated to coordinating with international airspace authorities, every aspect of this takeoff was deliberate. And that deliberateness sent the clearest message of all: preparation equals power. By evening, footage of the takeoff and subsequent maneuvers had gone viral online. Military enthusiasts dissected every second of the video, pointing out angles, speed, and altitude. News outlets across the world published commentary, and social media threads debated the implications. It wasn't just a display of technology, it was a geopolitical statement delivered in real time, witnessed by millions. Officials inside the Pentagon were pleased but measured in their response. They emphasized that the exercise was routine training, though they knew well that its impact went far beyond mere routine. Diplomats had to explain the demonstration carefully to allies and adversaries alike, making sure that the intended message, strength, readiness, and deterrence was understood without escalation. And while the world speculated, the pilots themselves reflected on what they had accomplished. For them, it wasn't just a mission, it was history in motion. Each maneuver had been precise, each calculation exact. The combination of human skill and technological capability had created a moment that would be studied for years to come. In the days that followed, analysts continued to discuss the ramifications. Some called it a game-changer in how air power is perceived. Others noted that it represented a shift in doctrine, demonstrating deterrence not through static displays or speeches, but through active, visible execution. One takeoff, one moment, and the landscape of global military perception had shifted. For the soldiers and personnel on the base, the morale boost was immense. They knew that they were part of a force capable of unparalleled precision and power. That confidence translated into readiness, discipline, and unity, qualities that are as important as any aircraft or weapon system. The takeoff also served as a teaching moment. Recruits were briefed on the mission, learning how planning, timing, and execution combined to achieve strategic impact. The lesson was clear. It's not always the scale of the force that matters, but how it is employed and how a single decisive action can influence events far beyond the immediate battlefield. Meanwhile, across the globe, military observers continue to monitor U.S. Air Force movements more closely. The one takeoff had made clear that the U.S. was watching, assessing, and ready. It had sent a signal that intelligence, strategy, and readiness were in place, and any adversary would have to think twice before making a move. By the end of the week, military publications and think tanks had published extensive analyses. Commentators highlighted how a single aircraft, operated with precision, could communicate more effectively than hours of speeches or diplomacy. The takeoff wasn't just a flight, it was an assertion of air dominance, a demonstration that preparedness and decisiveness are as powerful as any weapon. And for the public, the lesson was simple yet profound. One action, taken with clarity, courage, and intent, can change perceptions, influence decisions, and send a message louder than words. That morning takeoff was proof of that truth, a reminder that power, skill, and strategy converge in ways that command attention worldwide. Even months later, the footage is still studied in military academies. Pilots and analysts review every angle, altitude, and maneuver. They consider how each component of the mission, timing, technology, and execution combined to create a moment of influence that extended far beyond the base. The U.S. Air Force had not only demonstrated capability, but it also issued a subtle warning. Readiness matters. Precision matters. And sometimes, the most effective statement isn't made in boardrooms, press conferences, or speeches, it's made in the sky. That single takeoff, that brief roar of engines lifting into the dawn, had changed everything. It reminded the world that power is not just possession, but action. And it sent a message that would echo in military circles, government halls, and strategic planning rooms for years to come. So if you enjoyed this story of courage, precision, and global impact, make sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video, where we break down the most daring aerial maneuvers in U.S. Air Force history. You won't believe what happens next.